Good afternoon and welcome to Points West. A man from Gloucestershire has pleaded guilty to killing both his parents. William Warrington had absconded from a psychiatric hospital before stabbing both of them to death at separate addresses in March. The 42-year-old admitted manslaughter at Bristol Crown Court this morning, and Pam Caulfield is there. Pam.
Well, Liz, Warrington spoke only to plead guilty to the 2 counts of manslaughter this morning. The court then heard the grisly details of his crimes. He'd had a history of severe mental health issues and had several times made threats to his parents, Clive and Valerie Warrington, who were divorced. Now, he was admitted to Wootton Lawn Psychiatric Hospital after he attacked his housemate in February. Then, on the night of March the 1st, he was allowed out into the courtyard of the hospital unescorted at around 10 o'clock at night. He wasn't supposed to leave, but he did. He got into a taxi and went to his mother's house in Bourton-on-the-Water. There, he killed her, stabbing her several times. He then took her car, drove over her body and headed to Cheltenham, to his father's house, where he stabbed him to death. Neighbours heard the shouts, they called the police and Warrington was arrested. Now, the court heard the staff at Wootton Lawn Hospital only reported Warrington missing to the police at midnight. That was 2 hours after they'd allowed him out into the courtyard on his own. And the Warrington family statement say they have been let down by the agencies. They have failed us. Now, the NHS Trust that runs the hospital said in a statement that they offer their sincere condolences. They are undertaking an investigation that will be shared with NHS England and the CQC, but aren't making any other statement at this time. Warrington will be sentenced this afternoon. Now, psychiatrists agree that it should be on the grounds of diminished responsibility due to his diagnosis of paranoid schizophrenia and psychosis. But the family say they believe their brother continues to pose a threat to them and they will be constantly living in fear of their safety.
OK, Pam, thanks very much. The Royal College of Nursing says a shortage of staff across the West is compromising patient safety. Latest figures from the NHS show more than 1 in 10 nursing posts is unfilled, with staff leaving for better paid jobs. Our health correspondent Matthew Hill reports.
Michael Lawton is enjoying a better quality of life in Australia. After leaving his job in intensive care in Bristol last year, he's doubled his pay. It means he can splash out on holidays and have a better working environment.
I loved the lifestyle over here. The pay and working conditions suited me a lot better. You know, you could have one nurse back home looking up to 12, maybe 16 patients. Over here, that would be illegal and that would not be allowed to happen. So you can imagine why nurses are stressed, why they're leaving shifts crying.
New figures show how desperate the staffing crisis in the southwest has become, with more than 1 in 10 nurse posts unfilled. Swindon's Great Western Trust paid £2,549 to fill a nursing shift, the highest figure that's been recently released.
I've had senior nurses like myself who have left the organisation in droves.
And what have they told you is the reason?
Burnout, exhausted.
You have had a 3% pay rise last year when public sector workers had nothing, and this time round there is an offer towards 5%, more than many people have had.
The true pass on, what's passed on to the staff, it's way below inflation. The pay rise is not truly what it's made out to be.
The Department of Health says it's on track to recruit 50,000 more nurses by 2024. As well as developing a long-term workforce plan to recruit and retain more staff. But if today's government negotiations with health unions break down, a strike will have a severe impact. And without a significant pay rise, unions warn the brain drain will only continue. Matthew Hill, BBC Points West.
Now, in 2 days' time, the Chancellor will deliver his autumn statement outlining the government's tax and spending plans. They'll affect the take-home pay and budgets of millions of people. People like Brenda, a mum of 2 from Bristol, who's having to make her own difficult decisions every day to break even. Fiona Lambden's been to meet her.
It's just Brenda and her 2 children living here on the first floor of this block of flats. She works for a care home when they need her.
Guys, come and sit down.
Before school, she always makes sure Macario, who's 8, and Val, who's 5, have had a proper breakfast.
I've noticed, especially with the electricity, the energy bills, it was increased, I think, April. And by then I was paying £125. So in April they increased it to £225. That was extra bill.
Have you found it hard?
Yes, it was hard because I wasn't prepared for it.
Even though it's early, before 8 o'clock, Brenda makes tonight's meal in her instant cooker.
So I don't normally use my oven or my cooker that much. I only use it twice a week. So that really helps as well. It really makes delicious and nutritious dishes, meals, yeah.
So the Instant Pot, that saves so much money?
Yes, it does. Like 60 or 70% of electricity. So I really love it. It's cost efficient.
And using the communal laundry room has also reduced her electricity bill.
We don't have a washing machine in the house. We use the laundry, the communal one, so it really saves electricity. I normally do washing once a week because I get only one slot. We're going to be late for school.
It's now time for the school drop-off.
Are you worried about the winter?
Yes, of course I'm worried, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah.
Brenda's happy because she's got work today, but it will be another 10 hours before she's back home with her children. Fiona Lambdin, BBC Points West.
Full permission has been granted for a project to reopen the Portishead to Bristol railway line. The government's given planning consent for restoring the line, which closed to passenger trains in 1964. The work will cost at least £150 million and it will be paid for by the government and local authorities.
What's exciting, I think, is the fact that we will have a connection between Portishead and Bristol and everywhere in between that'll make a big difference to the lives of many thousands of people. It'll increase the prosperity of our region. So it's important on a number of levels, and it's very exciting that we now have this permission. This is the green light to get on and do it and make this fantastic idea a tangible reality.
The line will have new stations built at Portishead and Pill, running hourly services into Bristol. Meanwhile, it's been announced the opening of a new railway station beside the Portway has been delayed. It'll now open next spring. Well, didn't we have a wet old start? Ian's here. Anything to cheer us up?
I was just thinking with your early start, you can attest to how wet it was. And this was the story at 8 o'clock this morning as this front was slowly edging its way ever eastwards, giving some pretty heavy rain in places. Took a while to clear through. There has been something of a lull following on behind. However, out to the southwest, moving up into Devon, comes the next area of some quite heavy showery rain. That's going to continue its journey northeastwards through the middle part of the afternoon, and behind that into this evening through tonight. Yes, drier intervals, but there will be further showers around, and some of those could be quite potent where you catch them. We're going to find that the temperatures overnight are fairly cool, actually, around about 5 to 8 Celsius into first light tomorrow. Now, tomorrow is sort of a reversal of today's fortunes. Generally speaking, the first part of the day, that bit drier, barring some showers. But then later through the afternoon, that's when we'll start to bring this more widespread area of rain up, turning quite windy under those conditions. Temperatures tomorrow about 11 to 13 Celsius. There we go.
Great, thanks Ian. And that is it for now. David will be back at 6:30 to bring you up to date tonight. That's it. Have a good afternoon. Bye now.